Look, memory can change the shape of a room, it can change the color of a car. And memories can be distorted. They're just an interpretation, they're not a record. And they're irrelevant if you have the facts.
Someone wants me. Someone roaming the streets wants me.
Your car's uglier than I am. That didn't come out right.
Time to cover all things Minnesota. It's The Take with Blois Olson on the Al Travis Show. If it's news in Minnesota, he knew about it 20 minutes ago.
We are very thankful today to have Blois Olson on this program with the Daily Agenda. Two thoughts on it, Blois, if I can, before we roll on. I had a U.S. Open take I really wanted to talk with you about on Friday, after Friday's Open. I don't think it's relevant now. If we get time to get to it, I'd love to get your opinion on it. Suhan wrote on it today in the Star Trib. That's how a regular Monday would have started with you and I. That's weekend,
true, but good. This is not a regular Monday.
No, and that's what I'm saying. So, you know, in our line of work, you're doing this thing, hey, I'm going to talk to Blois about. I was very excited about doing it. Then the weekend happens, and you won't say this, but I will. I'm going to say it about you, to you. There are big fishes in little ponds, little fish in big ponds, and all those other sayings. Blois Olson is a pretty big fish in the pond of Minnesota, and what I mean by that is there's no one this weekend that was affected as far as politicians go that Blois Olson doesn't know personally. I got up Saturday morning and heard about this very early on, sent a couple texts to people that we would all know, making sure they were safe, you know, yada, yada. I can't imagine what your weekend was like being you. You got work-related duties to do when these things can go on, personal friends in the business. Can you tell us what Saturday was like for you?
Yeah, I woke up Saturday morning about 6:45, 7, which was normal. I had an alarm set. I had a golf match at 9 scheduled. And I had about 37 text messages unread. And it didn't... one of the things that was, in reflection, a little disturbing was I didn't really believe what I was reading.
Oh.
I kind of downplayed it in my mind. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you're groggy.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't slept great Friday night.
Yep.
So I was just like, what is this about? Okay. Somebody made a threat or took some shots. And then I started replying, and the news got more grim. And some of the texts were from people who would not usually text me.
Okay.
And so I felt like they were fishing for information, maybe even in an unhealthy way. Like, what do you know? You know everything. And I didn't really know anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to share. And then the gravity of the situation began to sink in. I started to process. I started a rule a few years ago that I was not going to chase big stories by myself when I didn't really know or have my own sources. Okay. I was going to lean into, as I call them, the full-timers.
Okay.
The people who full-time get paid to make sure their sources are really good and really... So I just kind of let the runway go for a while before... And by the way, Al, that's part of my way of processing. Okay. It's not about not wanting to go. It's, I really want to gain some perspective on this before I jump on the axe or send out. You know, we had a draft Daily Agenda ready to go Saturday with some, you know, our audience should know what's going on. And I just said, I don't think the world needs another newsletter today. And my editor was like, I think that's a good call. And so Saturday was that, and, you know, and it hit me later in the day, and like many Minnesotans and friends and colleagues and community I work in, I tried to take care of myself as much as I could and be as helpful to those who one of the things I did and I do during these moments is they send a message to the staffers who deal with the media all the time, because I deal with the media, but it's not quite the same. And I just said, if anybody on staff needs a break, if there's anything I can do to be helpful,
there you go.
Send them my way. Let me know what I can do. These are public servants through and through. They might be political, but they deserve to be human too.
Don't disagree. I don't want to make this a promo. I found out pretty darn early Saturday morning, but what it was a WTF question mark from a friend, and then a URL, a www link to a thing called Crime Watch Minnesota. I don't follow it.
Yep.
I hadn't followed it on the X. I'm not trying to promote it, but it was the first thing. Hey, this is what we're hearing. Something happened, and it looks like it's at Senator Hoffman's house. And so I'm like, what? But more to come. And they were hedging their bet, and I'm like, okay. And now I'm wide awake. And then you count the other services all catching up to that story. I don't know who they are, but they obviously listened to Scanners. They were on that. I mean, I presume when I saw that story, it was written at 4 a.m, and this happened at 2. I was impressed. I'm not a big X. I didn't X or Facebook at all this weekend about any of this, but I think I see places it can be good. These stories, because it got out, and it got out fast. And back to me texting some of the friends of the program. Obviously, John Hoffman talks about you all the time, because he comes on an hour after you're on the show on Mondays, and he always says he listens to Blois to see what Blois has to say before he comes up with his comments. Good friend of yours. Anyway, you can't call him. Obviously, Hoffman was the guy, so I called people who I know who know him and call him. I texted and said, "Are you okay? Are you safe?" And I will give our police officers credit. Many of them had already been contacted, had police, do an extra surveillance around the house. The cops figured this thing out unbelievably quickly. I don't know if that's intuition. I don't know, how they got it so fast. But there was a lot of good, if you will, that came out of this. Our police officers, those people that found this guy in the woods in, Green Isle, in the fields, that's some good police work. If you want to get lost in Minnesota, you can. They took care of business. I was rather impressed. Your thoughts on just now that this guy's arrested, closing the weekend out, that was Sunday night. I end up saying I've watched that too because I want to see this guy. The bookends of that, they did it in a weekend. They found the guy, they captured the guy, they got the guy. We have a lot of answers to figure out, but I was rather impressed with the law enforcement themselves.
Yeah, no, I am too. I think that, I think first and foremost, the law enforcement, somebody posted this, was, look, there's a lot of dads who gave up their Father's Day to find this guy yesterday, and moms who gave up their family time.
Absolutely.
In law enforcement and in media. I thought the media coverage also reinforced the strength of the Minnesota media.
Mm-hmm.
The public deserved to know. The public got a lot of access. So I think that's there. I think you have to understand that Crime Watch is, I would say, in some ways controversial, quote unquote.
Okay.
But when they get news, not opinion, when they get news, they are really good at it. And they did pick up on this. They are well sourced in law enforcement.
Me too.
And I think that's the other thing you saw here is that people who are well sourced in law enforcement did really well this weekend.
Yeah. How do you at the Daily Agenda, because your tip sheet, you take all these sources and you bring them together so there's one spot for Al to go to and read up on it. How do you and the editorial staff weed through them? I mean, we know the Star Trib's there, the Pioneer Press. I mean, again, we can use those sources. They do their work. How do you decide who's right or wrong? I'm not ripping crime. I don't know them. In fact, I was.
Yeah, no, I guess when I see something on the scanner, I try to verify it with the local press or local police, and then if it's real, then I stick with it. I think that I think everybody has to, and that's part of the message today. we all have to be very discriminating in the
Yeah.
in the sources we share, the speculation and projection we make.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's a lot of irresponsible people out there who just even this morning, Al,
Go ahead.
I got 2 responses, one on each side, about who said what, when, how, why.
Yeah.
And my message was just like let's just pause and heal. And 2 loyal readers couldn't even do that on Monday morning.
There's the second part, because the take today, and I just got it, the daily agenda. You took a take today, which I think is really eye-opening. You opened your eyes. You took a little self-reflection. I think all of us can do it. I'd like to talk about that on the other side. Can we do it right after the break?
Of course.
I've got him. Blois Olson with the daily agenda on the Al Travis Show.
Dust from gravel roads and driveways does more than make your car dirty inside and out. It gets down into your lungs, and it's bad for your health. Now there's an environmentally friendly solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control all your summer dust problems with just one application. Protect your vehicle and your lungs. Learn more at dustlock.com.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
Don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
I'm very excited to talk with Blois Olson about this piece of this whole story this weekend. As you were just saying about, left and right send you emails, I just had a very good friend of the program, a left-leaner, send me an article from another organization saying a Democratic legislator was assassinated, right-wing influencers coughing out disinformation to make money, and this whole story she said I had to read to find out what's going on. I, again, did not tweet or fax at all, Facebook, any of that stuff this weekend. You first found out there was leaflets in the back of his car for the No Kings thing. Oh, he must be a left-winger. Oh, wait a minute. He had a Republican voting card. This thing went back and forth all weekend. I was with my family, and I said, just hold on. This is going to be a big mixed bag of nuts, and we're going to have to sort through before we figure anything out. And in reality, does it matter? There are nut jobs on both sides. We've seen it. Does it matter who their party affiliation was the last time they voted, that sort of thing? And then the take comes out this morning. And Blois, you wrote a very cool take, even looking introspective on what you do for a living. Share your thoughts on how we simmer this down. How do we fix the narrative?
Well, I just think we have to look in the mirror first.
Okay.
I think we have to model the behavior.
Yeah.
I think there's some education that needs to be done. I think that everybody needs to just kind of. I don't know if this is even possible, so I'll just dream for a minute. Can we just start over, Al? Can we just start over? Wipe the internet, and let's just start over.
I love that idea. I love Facebook for you can share photos of your kids with your grandmothers, and you can connect with high school friends. Let it be at that.
But no, this is not like I don't have all the answers this morning, Al.
No,
I have today's answers, and I'm going to try to model this today. But on Friday, I wrote about 5 years ago, almost, when I wrote, "We're losing our civil minds." And then I watched the congressional hearing on Thursday, and I was like, we're escalating at the higher levels of government, losing our civil minds. And I guess the only thing that I can really do is not lose my own civil mind and help those around me not lose theirs. And maybe, if we all do a little of that, it can help. But just because it feels good doesn't mean you have to post it on X.
Well, and you brought up in your article about, that hit you get when you put something on and then everybody agrees with you, or hey, it's like, oh, I did this thing. There's something to it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I throw to you, I don't know if there are any more or less crazies in the world, because I would throw, and I did this last half hour, Reagan got shot by a guy. Him and Tip O'Neill were exact opposite people, but they got along. They disagreed politics-wise, but they were friends at the highest level. There's still crazy people, the same amount of crazy people in my life. I mean, my thoughts are in the world today. But when our politicians and we use the language we use, I think we set more of them off. Is that a bad take? Politics.
No, it's not a bad take. Look, you're right. There are maniacal people.
Yeah.
But last Sunday, a week ago yesterday, I interviewed Speaker Emeritus Hortman and Lisa Damas, and my last question was, you guys have spent hours and hours and days together.
Yeah.
Are there any inside jokes? What makes you laugh?
Great question.
Like, if you had a date? Because these are humans. We're all humans, and we have to put some humanity back in our politics.
And did they have one they shared? I've got to catch it on your show. That is a great question, by the way.
I mean, there was like, they have some of the same clothes, so they try not to twin when they dress, and they know each other's hobbies.
Okay.
And there was knowing Melissa Hortman, I was trying to get a forum together with all four leaders last week, and I get up way too early. That's the joke around here, and people were like, I was like 8 or 9 a.m. And finally I got a message from one of her staffers. Hortman's willing to do this. She'd just like to sleep for a couple weeks. Can we do it over lunch? And I was like, that's workable. We'll figure that out. I mean, these are real people, and we have to recognize that these are real people. And the grenade throwers and keyboard warriors need to look at themselves in the mirror and say, is this constructive for me, my mental health, or democracy?
Yeah, love that. I'm going to leave it at that. Blois, I can't imagine the toughness of your day today. Goes, hey, everybody in this situation, I can't imagine the 37 emails that you got right away in the morning. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. And if we remember next time we talk, let's talk about the U.S. Open. I thought it was a crazy course. That
sounds good.
All right, my friend.
Thanks,
He is Blois Olson with the Daily Agenda. Go to thedailyagenda.com. Sign up today.